Okay, so I had said I would be doing an Afterthoughts video for Steampunk World's Fair sometime soon. So here we go. This video shouldn't take too long. Like I said, I had vlogged that whole weekend, so maybe half of what I want to say here has already been said. Alright, so the drive down to New Jersey was a nightmare. After Steampunk World's Fair, I had decided I'm not going to bother avoiding toll booths anymore. But avoiding the George Washington Bridge must still be a priority. At the end of the weekend, I finally learned about the route to take that will avoid the GWB and has the least number of toll booths. Apparently, I have to go from 95 South to 287 West, continue on to 287 South, and then follow it all the way down to destination. After I had gotten home, I looked up the route. It's a longer route, but because it avoids the GWB and the road before it, which will add on about an hour's worth of traffic, it should be a way faster route. Well, guess I'll find out just how much faster when I go to Anime Next this weekend. Okay, anyway, when I finally got down to the Radisson Hotel, I was in a bit of a, admittedly, hysterical state. But that's not important. What is important is that when I met up with the Steampunk crew, I learned that there was a bit of a snafu going on with some contract details between Steampunk and Wittershin, the company responsible for organizing Steampunk World's Fair. In any case, when I heard that there was some renegotiating going on, I thought, oh crap, are we going to have to go home now? After I have driven nearly 3 nightmarish hours just to get down here. Anyway, I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of the negotiations, but in the end, after sacrifices were made, we were able to stay, get our badges, and check into our hotels. Let's talk about our hotel, shall we? As you already know, beta site was the Staybridge Suites, and I love this hotel. The last time I was in this hotel, there were 5 of us. The nerdy duo had Suite A, which is the larger bedroom, and I had Suite B all to myself. This time there were 8 of us. I shared Suite A with 2 other crew members. I still love this hotel and wish I could stay at this one when my friends and I go to Anime Next. Unfortunately, it's a bit more pricey than the Holiday Inn, and it would be a bit of a hike to get to the convention center. Unless we were to carpool every day, which is not happening. Okay, let's get on with Steampunk World's Fair itself. The whole thing was divided between 2 hotels, Radisson and Embassy, and the parking lot between the 2 hotels. Now, in all honesty, after Macabre Fair, Wicked Fair, TempleCon, and GobbleCon, I've been somewhat spoiled with having to walk around in only one location. Yeah. So I didn't really spend much time at the Embassy. More of the action was at the Radisson anyway. But I gotta say, the Embassy looks incredible on the inside, and there were a few major points of interest. Take, for example, the Goblin Market. Freaking awesome. Compared to the Goblin Market at Wicked Fair, this one seemed way darker and more crowded. Of course, the biggest difference was I could record in this Goblin Market. At Wicked Fair's Goblin Market, I got yelled at for recording in there, and I had to delete my videos from there. You know, now that I think about it, that whole room was full of people who were taking pictures and videos on their phones, and I was the one who was singled out. Anyway, Steampunk World's Fair Goblin Market. I could freely record. It was great! Wish there was some better lighting in there though. But then that would have killed the atmosphere a bit. You know, at a lot of these events that I've been to, I've been tempted to turn on the night vision on my cameras. But then I feared the green hue videos would not be very professional looking. So I have had to do the best I could with whatever lighting was available. So the Goblin Market was pretty much my biggest highlight for day one. Most of the day was just me walking around getting a bunch of random footage. Of course, as always, with every convention that Steampunk is performing, there was a Swagger 101. Or at least it was Swagger 101 for part of the time. At some point during the panel, it became You Bet Your Ascot. And from what I understand, there was this ongoing theme that weekend. Mutiny. The crew of the ASS Titilus were to mutiny against the established order of account name Slickbrass. I'm not sure everyone got that memo though. In any case, the panel seemed kind of chaotic to me. It was still a fun time though. And the audience we had were enjoying themselves. But in all honesty, I'm pretty sure I saw a lot of potential audience leaving the room after a moment of confusion. I even overheard a few of them wondering what had happened to Swagger 101. Granted, this was an extremely small room, so people could have just been leaving because there was no way to get in. Or no seats. Whichever. Onwards to day 2. The day started with the Shake and Bake Makers panel. I talked about the Makers panel before. A how-to panel for making kick-ass props and a forum for prop makers who share and learn new techniques from each other. The first time I saw this panel, it was at Wicked Fair. The audience was few and had not fully awakened yet. So there weren't really much participation at that one. At this one, the audience was still small, and the room was huge. But there was a relatively huge audience participation. The audience definitely seemed like they were enjoying themselves, and everyone were presenting questions and sharing information. I would consider this panel to have been a success. Okay, up next was Steampunk and Kimono, given by the Crazy Kimono Lady. It was a fascinating panel. In this panel she talked about the types of kimonos, how to put them on, and how to wear them. She also showed how she puts her own twist on kimono wearing and adds elements of steampunk to the completed look. It was a small audience in that room, but definitely one that was very interested. This was more of an intro panel. The next day was a more advanced course, but more on that later. Up next was Iron Mater, hosted by Sydney Savia, judged by Sydney Savia, the Nerdy Duo, and Dr. Kovacs. Obviously, Iron Mater was run by the crew of the ASS Titilus. Anyway, Iron Mater, what do you think of this? Basically, Iron Chef, but for costumes. The contestant teams, 4 teams of 4 members each, were given a theme, a ton of fabric, sewing equipment, and half an hour. Yep. Fun times. Fun times indeed. Winners received kick-ass trophies, and they got to keep what they created. Holy crap, this Afterthoughts video is turning out to be a whole lot longer than I had intended it to be. Okay, time to speed it up. Immediately after Iron Mater, I was off to another panel, taking over the world in style. This was yet another panel run by Titilus crew members. I couldn't make it to the beginning of the panel, so I may have missed something important. I also had to film from outside the door. That should tell you just how many people were there for this panel. Anyway, on the schedule it said contest, and from what I could tell, it looked like audience members were actually competing to be the best evil villain. Okay, so after that panel, I have no idea what it was that I was doing. But I do remember, at some point in the evening, Steampunk crew were called to gather for a group photo. Oy. So much confusion for that one. Where is the picture being taken? Where are we supposed to meet up? What time are we meeting up? When is the picture? Where is our captain? Etc. Well, anyway, I gotta say, I must have forgotten that my camera was still recording. Because when I reviewed my videos, I found a video of the photo shoot, and I had recorded the crew getting into place for the picture. And then the video where my camera was pointing away as the pictures were taken. After that photo shoot, it was Drunkhausen, yet another Steampunk panel. Well, sort of panel. It's sort of like Munchausen. I've talked about Munchausen before. Except drunken. It was so awesome that it had to be held in a bar. Although it did seem a bit disorderly, to put it nicely. Also, I wonder just how many people really knew Drunkhausen was going on. I mean, it was never listed in the schedule anywhere. It wasn't even in the program guide. So it was just word of mouth then. Well, that and the promo pictures that Steampunk posted all over Facebook. Okay, let's try to wrap up day 2 as quickly as possible. Immediately following Drunkhausen was Swagger 202. I don't think I had eaten dinner yet at this point. Really? Okay, so anyway, Swagger 202, yet another evening of chaos. I mean, there was more order in 202 than there was in 101, but still chaos compared to previous gigs. At one point, 202 seemed more like how 101 should have been. Not that I haven't enjoyed attending all the 101 and 202 panels, but I'm actually starting to wonder if I'll ever get to see 202 the way it was meant to be. Okay, that's it for all the panels that day. Now let's talk about all the random stuff that are still on my mind. There was an absinthe tasting at Steampunk World's Fair. Unfortunately, I did not buy a ticket. And one of the tastings did not work well with my schedule. Oh well. Super highlight of this day, as I had already said in my vlog from that weekend, was being spotted by Luna Chase, Lily Stitches, and Murder Nurse, and getting to say hi to all of them. I love my Cosplay Burlesque t-shirt. Unfortunately, my brain froze from excitement, and all I could say to them was hi. And their names. Okay, so, end of day 2. Party! This was actually a really new experience for me. I've been to raves at conventions. I've been to room parties at conventions. Never have I ever been to a traveling party that followed a marching band around the convention. It was like being in a steampunk rock festival, even though I have never been to a rock festival. So, alright, onwards to day 3. Yeesh, this video is getting a bit long. Okay, kicking this into overdrive now. So panels of this day. Advanced kimono for the discerned lady and gent. Facial hair contest. Gentleman's duel. And Eli August. Advanced kimono. Incredibly informative. Q&A format. A very interested audience. Facial hair contest. So many fuzzy men. Hosted by James Hatton. Madison Bartholomew was one of the judges. So glad I did not get burned standing out in that sun for so long. Gentleman's duel. This was an actual duel of participants. Laser tag guns. At times, felt like I was filming an action movie. Did not stay for the whole thing. Quick lunch break. Finally, Eli August performance. Working with a nerdy duo. Freaking amazing band. Missed the Mad Science Fair. Oh well. The end of Steampunk World's Fair. Now, time for dinner with the crew. A post-convention dinner with the crew. Seems to me that this is the tradition. Anyway, Steampunk World's Fair was a nice convention. Not going to say it was the best one I've gone to with Steampunk. I hated the drive down, and the drive home was a nightmare. Yeah, the drive home I attempted to take a toll booth free route again. I mean, why not? When I drove home from Macabre Fair, I took a toll free route, and that didn't turn out too bad. Coming home from Steampunk World's Fair, I had no idea where I was or where my GPS was taking me. Several times during the drive home, I thought the only way to avoid all the tolls was to drive along the edge of the entire state of New York, or something. I thought I was going to drive into Pennsylvania or New Hampshire before I got home. I drove through dark roads, national parks, around the lake, up and down a mountain. That drive terrified me until I finally reached I-287. And my first thoughts were, yes, finally, civilization. So I went through all that trouble, and I still ended up paying a toll anyway. Luckily, it wasn't the $12 that the other toll booths charged. But anyway, meeting this Cosplay Burlesque girls made the trip worth it. And the traveling party was pretty awesome. And there you have it, Steampunk World's Fair. Now to enjoy anime next and work on an Afterthoughts video for that one. Then, it's Macabre Fair Film Festival. Okay, see you guys.